This is going to be based on the last patch, which was a minor patch that nerfed Glad Shield, nerfed Manticore. When I say nerfed, I don't mean nerfed. I mean, they slightly reduced the stats to a point that didn't make a difference. And yeah, we pretty much saw like a bunch of bullshit nerfs. That's about it. Just trash nerfs. So we'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to kind of power through this. I don't want to do like a 2-hour long, like break everything down. You guys know how the gods are played. If you watch any tier list, you know how the gods are played. So we have SS tier, top picks, top bans. S tier, priority picks that don't get banned, stuff you should be picking and playing if you want to win games. A tier is just consistently good, works with everything. B tier, going to be an average pick. So like the mid tier that you might not be playing all the time, but works when you have the right comps or when the right counter picks are there, or if certain things are banned, it kind of elevates those picks up. And then C tier is horrible. Don't fucking play this dog shit. So Achilles, A tier as a solo and as a jungle, honestly, but solo mainly. Agni, A tier, solid pick, bad early game, other than that's fine. AMC seen a lot more play, doing solid with ability build. Opwash, I'm pretty sure Opwash had to have been B tier last one. Opwash slams. I think Opwash for ranked and casuals might be the best and highest damaging mage in the game and fully counters all these bullshit healers that everyone's playing. Amaterasu, I'd say average pick, B tier as a solo laner, wouldn't play in the jungle. On her is a decent ADC, is not bad, mainly good if you know the matchup that you're playing into. Anubis, still low tier. The early pressure doesn't even matter anymore. So many people out clear and can compete with Anubis clear. Ao Kuang is solid jungler. Aphrodite's dog shit. Don't play Aphrodite. Apollo is pretty average pick right now in the ADC role. Not a bad pick overall, but in terms of ADCs, lower tier. Arachne, still a really good jungler for early game, just clapping, like low level, gold, plat, whatever. Ares, a little bit lower on the tier list. Clear isn't that good anymore. Your ability to 100 to 0 somebody's a lot lower because they made everyone tankier. So that's just is what it is. Artemis, I think Artemis is bad. I'm going to go C tier. I don't think Artemis is average tier. I think Artemis sucks. If Artemis ult isn't up, or if the ult gets, counterplayed by Magi's or beads, you just die. You don't win trades. You don't have a good fight. Your positioning is way too important. It sucks. RDO, pretty mid tier, not doing much, easy to kill, really extended kind of kit where you have to use your kit over and over again, and it's a lot harder to do than on King Arthur. Athena, I'd probably go with Athena as an average, like lower tier support pick, but for low level playing, I think Athena might be the easiest to play support that's actually good. Atlas, one of the best supports in the game, if not the best. A Wheelix, solid pick, better at counter picks, but can be picked all the time. Baba Yaga's doing really well. I'm dropping Baba down from S tier because ever since they changed back to the flat pen buffs, other mages are being played more. Bacchus, average, doesn't have enough pressure to be A tier for support. Bakasura, kind of low tier. If we were talking high end games, I'd put him in C tier. I think it's a trash pick and pointless because you play specifically around your teammates engaging and you just following up all the time. So as a jungler in low level, it's different. You're able to W key and fight and people are idiots and run from you and let you get free kills. But at high tier, you kind of just fall over. I'll throw him in B tier because I don't be too mean. Barret, I think, is a solid pick. Support, solo, even mid. Bastet, average, falling off a little bit as a jungler. Bellona's fallen down a little bit as a solo laner because Berserker isn't core meta. We're talking about Glad Shield meta. Cabrakan is fucking nuts right now. I think Cabrakan... Is Cabrakan SS tier? Cabrakan just got nerfed in that patch, that minor patch, and I don't think it mattered. Cabrakan for ranked and casuals stomps. You can play it solo, play it jungle, you can play it support, you can play it mid. The damage is a little unmatched right now. The big thing is, though, that if you are getting CC'd, if you aren't the engaging team, it's nowhere near as good, has a solid drop-off in that situation. But I might put him in SS tier for just pub stomping. I think you're banning him. That's the thing, is I think you're banning, like, Cabrakan's getting banned every game. You don't want to play against Cabrakan. Camazotz, no CC, kind of falling down because of him just being a pure damage dealer. Serb falling off a lot. You barely see Serb right now. Cern's doing a little bit better after the buff. AoE cleave does a little bit more damage now, so your front line up close damage is nuts. Chalk still B tier, falls off late game. Chunga still... I don't think Chunga's bad in like Afro bad. Chunga doesn't have to heal, but the healing is extra, and then that ult can be really game breaking. So I'll allow Chunga to be B tier. Definitely wouldn't prioritize Chunga and put it in any comp at all ever. Charybdis. All right, here's my problem with Charybdis. Charybdis is okay, very safe hunter. Not a bad hunter, good hunter. But motherfuckers use the ult for damage like it's a Scylla. Your ult takes 3 seconds to go off. For you to ult into it, throw it out, hit the land, and you to deform 3 seconds. That's like fucking 8 autos for you as an ADC. You would literally do 8 times the damage if you just had there an auto instead of using your ult for damage. So that's my problem with her, because too many shitlords try to do damage with the ult. Chernobog, I think Chernobog is really good. I think I'm putting Chernobog S tier. Still hyper safe and just the ultimate. We're in a meta where rotations are the core. You win games off of rotating. That's it. So just play Churn and spam your ult. Chiron's A tier. Chronos sucks balls in this meta. Hasn't been good all year. Like we saw Soul come into meta and Olarun come into meta. Chronos just doesn't exist. He's trash. Kleena's solid, good pick. You actually see it played in mid and solo more than jungle, but I still think it's a really good jungle. Cthulhu is a solid solo laner. I think one of the safest and easiest to play for you guys to just do that solo lane job. It's very easy to do. Cucullin is solid. I'd probably put him A tier, borderline S tier, maybe A plus if we had that up there. Cupid's okay. I think Cupid's good, but they nerfed Cupid and he gets counterpicked by a bunch of gods. Dodgy, I think, is a really good jungler. Super easy to play. High pressure. Clear is good. Good damage. Late game, you're one-shotting and you have the safety of the ult. You also have the beads burning. You have the ult. Danza, low-level hunter. Outplayed by so many other hunters, in my opinion. Disco. I think Disco is not good. I think it's played in competitive and it has a major gain that the passive is you've powered whoever has the most damage on your team. So your solo laner usually hard bullies, and then that can turn into a full game pressure, because if your solo laner has extra power, solo laner is bullying the enemy solo laner is controlling the totem. The totem is extra gold. That also turns into more farm, more sustain for your team, and then easier rotations for that solo laner. So it impacts the whole game. If you aren't queuing with the solo laner and you're playing Discordia and the solo laner sucks ass, Discordia is kind of poop. Urlog Chen, I think, is trash. I don't care if they still play it in competitive. I watch it get played at competitive. They build defense items. They taunt. Their team does all the damage. They just exist. Erlang Shen is trash. Eset, I think, is a solid pick for mid. Semi-decent in support. Fafnir, I think, is a really good support. Fenrir, I think, is hyper situational. Can counterpick some gods, and you can only play it into those counterpicks. I think Freya is very good, but doesn't need to be banned, because you can pick gods to counter it, like Dodgy, or things like Agni or mages that can do damage from range like Thoth. Discordia is good. I think Discordia is trash. Ganesh, I think, is a solid support. A little underrated by a lot of players. Probably one of the more annoying supports in the game when played right. Geb is a solid support. Just does his job. It's Geb. He's good CC. He's good peel. Good everything. Gilgamesh is falling off a bit and throwing him into B tier. I think he just gets punished and destroyed mid to late game. Guan Yu is getting played a lot more because of Fabless and because of the healing, the semi-healing meta where it's not full healers. It's these off healers. Hachi, I think, is a decent ADC just because of the safety. Hades, I think, is overrated. I don't think Hades is trash. I do think Hades can bully bad players, but I don't think Hades is hard to deal with if you aren't a fucking potato. Hebo, I hate doing this. I think Hebo's bad. I think Hebo sucks. I don't think you do enough damage to match the other mages. Like, Hebo used to be the big burst god. Oh, Hebo's here, scary, I'm dead. But fucking Thoth does the same shit. Vulcan does the same shit. Honestly, Nuwa does it. Like, all these other gods do the same shit. And Hebo does it while dying. The other mages do it while sitting in the back casting. I think Hebo's trash. I also think if you play into some of these matchups that are good, like if you play Hebo into Dodgy, you're fucked. If you play Hebo into anything that can stop that knockup or cancel out that knockup, you're fucked. If you play Hebo into Susano and he hits you with the ult, you're fucked. Like, Hebo's just not that good. I think the pressure can be scary if you build a full team around it, but you need like a full support team around a Hebo. It's just not worth. Heimdall, solid ADC because of your safety. Hell's trash. Just like Aphrodite. Too easy to fucking counterplay. Really bad god. Short range. Not worth it. Hera is an okay pick because it's easy, because of simplicity. Hercules, I think, is trash. There's no reason to play it at all. He just doesn't do anything. His kit is super outdated these days. Hasn't been buffed or changed enough. Horus, I think, is a great support pick. I'm going to throw Horus into S tier. It's because controlling the scepter on that side of the map will win you the game for the first 15 minutes. So if you're in the dual lane and you win the pressure and you kill the scepter and you pick it up on Horus, you can run around and control the entire enemy team's jungle just by existing. And I think Horus is the easiest to do that because you have a dash to do damage, a knockup to do damage, and then you can dash to safety whenever you want with your heal. Doesn't really get matched. Like if you're doing that with Atlas, you need to pay attention about your positioning and where everyone is. On Horus, you don't. So they have similar ideas and play styles. One, I think, is way better at being annoying in a team fight setting and doing more in a team fight setting, but Horus by himself is nuts. Oh Yi, I think, is a solid ADC, but you're clear lacked, so you have to know how to play the god around that. Hun Bats, I think, is kind of mid, kind of average right now. Hun Bats, for me, has fallen from that kind of core jungler to just a little bit below. His ult is nowhere near as impactful anymore. It's just not enough damage, I think, on top of the CC. Ishtar, I think, is cracked. Maybe not banned every game, but very, very good. Borderline ban every game. I'm kind of in between these two. I think she does get banned at high level. I don't know about your low level games. I think people said she was getting through. But if you're building crit on her, I think she's like the best hunter in the game, as long as you've played her a handful of times. Izanami still solid because of the clear. Janice, everyone sucks at Janice. They just suck at playing. Janice is a fine pick, but everyone's terrible at using portals. Jingwei, solid pick because of the safety and crit being good. Jormungandr, trash. Trash or B tier? B tier. Yorm doesn't do the solo lane job that he's supposed to do. He can't play support. Don't put him in support. In solo lane, because he's in these ult and out of the fight technically and not really a presence anywhere, it kind of fucks over the rest of his team. That's my issue. Somehow, Yorm needs to be able to be played where when he's in that ult, it doesn't screw over the other people by having no front line. Kali, I think Kali is one of the best junglers for ranked in the game if you're trying to win every match. I think you just spam Kali and there's no reason not to. Khepri, I think, is okay. He's decent pressure, very annoying. If the enemy team doesn't pick executes, Khepri's god tier. King Arthur is the easiest, best, simplest god in the game due to the build, due to the kit, due to the playstyle of solo lane, due to the XP you're given in solo lane. If you can't play King Arthur in the solo lane, you shouldn't play solo lane. Kukulkan, low tier because the ult's easy to avoid and you have low mobility. Kumba got some buffs. I'll put him in B tier, but I'm not sold on Kumba being that great. He's just semi-annoying. Nowhere as annoying as like Horus and Atlas. Kuzimbo, I think, is trash. They're trying to rebuff his 2, I think, and it's just not enough. Lancelot, I think, is very good. Better in the solo lane when you're tanky or better in the jungle when you're hybrid, because if you are running against a CC comp, you're going to get bullied. But if it's not a heavy CC comp or they're letting you free cast, you bully everybody else. Loki, still average tier, counterplayed by Aaron Diet. Medusa, average because of her low mobility. Mercury, probably average, maybe like a B plus tier because he does have a place in the meta because anti-crit isn't OP anymore, but the other junglers do their job easier. So I would put Mercury like in between A and B overall. Merlin is getting played a lot more. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and throw him in the S tier because of his fucking nasty clear and damage, but he does get dove very easily. Most mages get dove very easily. Morgan Le Fay, after the nerfs, just not enough damage. She's falling off a bit. Mulan's doing better right now. They buffed Mulan's base damage on his 2 and his ult, or is it 1 as an ult? 2 of his abilities got the base damage buffed, and he's doing a little better, or she's doing a little bit better. Naja got buffed. Naja's popping off in support and in jungle, mainly jungle. I actually like Naja now, which is kind of scary because I'm pretty sure I was asking for like a rework on Naja 2 months ago. Neath, mid tier, big damage from the ult. Late game, full damage with Hidden Blade. Your ult hits for 13 to 1400. So just run ability Neath. Late game, ult to squishy on cooldown whenever you can. Nemesis, still the best jungler in the game. Better than Kali overall, but not as easy to play. Kali's ult carries her and her passive carries her. Nemesis just kind of blows everybody up. Nike, trash tier. No idea why you're playing Nike. Literal dog shit. Nox, pretty mid. If I'm going to play it anywhere, honestly, I want it in support, but even then, it's terrible support compared to everywhere else. You shouldn't have the pressure in the lane based on your matchups. Like if you're playing Nox in the Horus or Nox in the Atlas, they should out-clear you and control the lane. Nua's doing decent, fairly safe pick, all hits hard. Odin played her as a counter pick in the healers. All the runs falling off a lot. All cooldowns just too long. Osiris, in my opinion, people don't like this. I think Osiris is bad. I don't know why people play Osiris. They don't bully in lane in like any matchups. They get ganked very, very easily. And once you ult in a team fight late game, you are stuck and you are probably dead because late game, everyone will blow you the fuck up even though you're passive. Pele, solid pick. Not the best. Can be counterplayed. You're an all-in character, so you have to play around that. Persephone's trash. We already know why. Poseidon's doing decent. Not a bad mage. Better in mid lane. Okay in the jungle. Jungle's kind of falling off. I'd stick to mid around that pressure and just rotating. Raw, low tier because of the low mobility. You have to fucking be able to play aggressive Raw, and I do not. There are very few people that play aggressive Raw. Most people just can't play Raw aggressive. They don't know the positioning. They don't value the 2. It's very rare to see a good Raw get played. Higher skill God because of the kit and movement, I guess. If your team is controlling the game, you can play Raw. Obviously, you just sit back and throw ults. But if your team's not controlling the game and you need to be the carry, Ra's not your go-to. That's why he's in B tier. Raijin sucks even after the nerfs. Trash god. Rama, fairly safe hunter, simple hunter, pure auto attacks. Rat popped off, and then I feel like Rat peaked, and I think we're seeing a lot less Rat right now. I'm going to put him in A tier. 3 weeks ago, I might have put him in S tier because of how much everyone was playing him. I think he was a little overrated. I've pretty much always thought Rat was overrated, and his late game just insta-dies. His late game is trash. His mid game is god tier, though. Ravana, solid jungler. One of the better junglers, more consistent, safe junglers, but I wouldn't prioritize Ravana. I don't think Ravana is a prio. I do think it is one of the best junglers because of how easy and simple and good his kit is. Scylla, underrated mage, should be A tier for sure. You one shot. You guys saw I was in a late game match the other day, and I won an auto with a poly on a mage, and I one shot him. The one hit for 1400, the Soul Reaver procced, the fucking poly proc, the person died. 100-0. That's ridiculous that you could do that on a god. Serket, I think Serket's pretty mid tier. It's really hard to play her anyway. Hybrid, damage, crit, they all are kind of weak. Easy to counterplay. Serket still. They can't do anything right with Serket. I don't know why. Set, mid tier. Soul Gem's still good, just takes longer to stack. It's not as good. Set still bodies in ranked and casuals because people don't know how to build anti-heal. Shiva's simplicity allows him to stay in the A tier. Scotty's ass, low mobility hunter that does no damage. Sobek is solid for setup. Late game, you get blown up when you get caught out plucking. Soul, I'd say Soul is decent, probably be A tier. I don't know if I like Soul as an ADC or as a mid, but if you need magic auto attack damage, I'd rather have a Soul than anyone else. Wukong, overrated as fuck. I don't care. He dies way too quick late game with a hybrid build or a damage build, and he's not 100-0ing mages. I'm watching it, and mages one tap Wukong late game, and he's trash. I fucking hate it. Susano might be Susano bannable. Picks. Are we banning Susano? I think I'm putting Susano S tier. The buffs were out of nowhere. Susano was already pretty good. People suck at auto attack canceling because they don't take the time to learn it. It's very easy to learn. If you know how to auto attack cancel, I think Susano's great. My issue with Susano is the damage takes time to go off. You need to be able to stand there and cast for a second, where someone like Kabrakan can one-shot you instantly without needing to cast. So it's kind of the trade-off and why he's probably not SS tier for me. Sylvanas, I think, is a solid pick. Your positioning matters a lot. Look to Blink Engage. I think that's super underrated on Sylvanas, and that would make him an A tier. I think if you're not going Blink, probably B tier on Sylvanas. Terra, I think, is very, very good. I think Terra is underrated by the ranked community and the casual community for whatever reason, but that ultimate still wins you team fights, even if you miss your abilities. And not many supports can do that in a game where you can, it's kind of hard to fuck up a Terra ult and it'll win you a fight. Whereas a Yemoja, you need a fat, huge Yemoja ult, and it's more difficult. Your positioning matters. The use of the ult matters. A little bit harder to do. Thanatos, I think, is a good, solid jungle pick. A little risky, but the risk has gone down a lot because of the damage that people are putting out. I know everyone got tankier, and then we changed items, but it seems like getting an execute off is not difficult anymore. You go up in the air, and somebody's executable in every fight. The Morrigan is being played in competitive. I think the Morrigan is great. I think it's a solid pick. I think because of the rotation you can get off of Morrigan, it's nuts. But a lot of people suck at playing the Morrigan, so I'm not going to put her in S tier. Thor, I think, is very good. I almost want to put Thor in S tier. I think Thor's a little underrated. I just feel like his CC and his damage is ridiculous right now. I don't know if I'm missing something, but he feels great every time I play him. Thoth, I think, is nasty. You should be playing Thoth every game in ranked. Damage is way too high. Plus, they buff Thoth and the flat pen items. Tiamat's fallen off a little bit. Not as tanky, so A tier. Tsukiyomi, I think, is trash. Not actually trash, but compared to the other junglers, Tsukiyomi late game, no matter how many fucking kills you have, you're going to drop into the backline and they're going to one-shot you. And it sucks. Tyr, I think, is a solid solo laner, but not that OP. Ul, I think, is one of the best gods in the game in terms of ADC and just the damage you can put out with the ability builds right now. They've buffed all the hammers. They do so much. Transcendence, even after the nerf, doesn't matter. Vamana is counterpicked by anti-heal, by an Ankh. You literally lose the game if you play Vamana and they build Ankh. Vulcan's quality of life went up, throwing him up at A tier. Shivalanke is doing really well. Gonna put him in A tier. Sheng Ten is the safest support. Gonna put him in A tier. Yemoja on a good player, S tier. On your most players, we're probably talking AB. Ymir, I think, is overrated because he's just out of position all the time and always dead. Yu Wong, safest, best mage in the game overall, and you should learn how to play that god if you don't know how. Zeus, too immobile to be played. I'd probably put him in B tier. Have to pick a comp around him. Zhong Kui might be the most underrated mid lane mage in the game. And he fucking one-shots with a 1-3 combo. You don't even need to use your 2. There's our tier list, gamers. Our full-blown 9.9 tier list. Powered through in like 30 minutes.